Hi, I'm Terri Savelle. I'm so glad you're watching today. I want to talk to you about changing your outlook, changing your outcome. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at can change. You've probably heard that statement before. But what I really want to zero in on is the fact that storms can actually become a springboard for promotion. In other words, the very thing you're dealing with that looks like a frustration, a setback, a disappointment, a delay, that can be the very thing that strengthens you to go to the next level. In fact, God can use those very struggles and things that you think can just wipe you out. That can be the very thing that takes you to the next level. In fact, I heard someone say this years ago, that the enemy always attacks those next in line for a promotion. So if you feel like, man, I just don't think I can take anymore, I'm this close to wanting to give up, you're probably this close to a major breakthrough. Well, the thing is, though, if you don't stay encouraged, if you don't stay built up in your faith, it's so easy to get that victim mentality of feeling like nobody else has had it this hard. Why does it seem so easy for everybody else? Or, I'm the only one that's having to struggle this much. Well, I want you to realize that the struggle is actually strengthening you to go to the next level. In fact, you've probably heard stories. I love reading stories about successful people like Marilyn Monroe. You may have heard this, how her contract with Columbia Pictures expired because they told her she wasn't pretty enough or talented enough to become an actress. And now she's what? One of the most iconic actresses of all time in Hollywood. Or you look at different people like Vera Wang. I was reading this, how she failed to make the U.S. Olympic figure skating team. That was her biggest dream. She failed to make it. Well, then she went on to become an editor at Vogue magazine, but she was passed on as the editor-in-chief position. So she decided, I'm just going to design wedding gowns. She started designing wedding gowns and now is the premier designer in the wedding gown industry, which is a multi-billion-dollar industry. But you could think that was my dream and it didn't happen. Well, maybe I'll be the editor-in-chief, and that didn't happen. But she just kept going. Now, I thought this was pretty funny. Dick Cheney, he flunked out of Yale not once, but twice. George W. Bush, who also went to Yale, he made this statement. He said, well, if you graduate from Yale, you get to be president. If you flunk out, you get to be vice president. But think about what a failure that could feel like. Who am I to think I could be vice president? I didn't even finish Yale. Well, this one about Jerry Seinfeld, he said the first time he went on stage to be a comedian, he was booed off the stage by a jeering crowd. Of course, he went on to have one of the #1 sitcoms ever, The Jerry Seinfeld Show. And then some of you may recognize Sidney Poitier. I love his French last name. Listen to this. After his first audition, a casting director instructed him to just stop wasting everyone's time and go become a dishwasher or something. Well, he went on to win an Academy Award, and of course, he's admired by actors everywhere. What am I saying? Don't ever give up because of the way things appear. Don't ever give up because of words that have been spoken over you or how hopeless things look or the delays that you're experiencing. I've said before, don't trade your deadline for God's timing, because God's timing is always right. And whatever you're going through, it is strengthening you. It's preparing you. And it's just part of success. The struggle is part of getting to success. In fact, listen to this story. I've shared this before, but this one just amazes me. And it was about these 3 brothers. 2 of them actually scraped up enough money to open a restaurant in Hapeville, Georgia, called the Dwarf House. Well, through incredible hard work, they profited from the first week. So it looked like, man, everything we touch turns to gold. First week, they're profiting. 3 years after the restaurant opened, 2 of the brothers were in a small private plane that crashed outside Chattanooga, Tennessee, and both of them died. Well, not only did the one brother lose his 2 brothers, he also lost his business partner. Well, he continued the restaurant alone. He paid his brother's widow her share in the business, and a year later, he opened his second restaurant. One night, he received a phone call that there was a fire at the second restaurant. It completely destroyed the operation. Even worse, he practically had no insurance. A few weeks later, he discovered he had polyps in his colon that had to be removed. Well, instead of rebuilding his restaurant, he went in for surgery. One operation led to two and put him out of commission for several months. Now think about it. He lost his brothers. He's lost his business. His second restaurant's burned to the ground. Now he's in the hospital having surgery. Stuck in bed for months. What does a dream achiever do? Complain, mourn, feel sorry for himself, give up on his dream, even get mad at God, blame everybody for where he's at. You know what he did? He sought God. Instead of blaming God, he sought God. As he laid in that bed month after month, he sought the Lord, and God gave him an idea. What would happen if I took a chicken breast, grilled it, seasoned it just right, put a bun with it, and a pickle? And the answer became the Chick-fil-A sandwich. That was Truett Cathy, who has built one of the largest, franchises in history. Well, I want you to realize that things will never be right around you until they're first right in you. In fact, that means getting rid of that victim mentality and always taking everything personal and feeling like everything's a struggle for me. I understand. I remember years ago when my marriage was falling apart, my husband and I actually separated. I was feeling sorry for myself. I was mad at myself. I was mad at the world. I was depressed, And I remember Jesse Duplantis told me this. He said, Terri, don't feel sorry for yourself. And he said, and stop looking at everything that's wrong with your marriage, what's wrong with your husband. He said, you work on you. In other words, you're the problem here. You work on you. And he said, let this strengthen you. Well, that's when I heard Joyce Meyer say that God will change your circumstances, but he'll change you first. And I had to get on that quest to build myself up consistently through hearing the word of God, build my relationship with the Lord like never before, spend time in prayer, spend time worshiping the Lord. And of course, as I began to change, everything around me began to change with it. I want you to know that what you're going through is strengthening you. In fact, let me close out with this. I heard something about baby eagles, how that when they're born, they are born with this little tooth at the end of their beak. And when they're born in that shell, they use that little tooth to peck at that shell to try to crack it open. Well, the mama eagle, she's sitting there, she's watching it, she can see the whole thing. All she'd have to do is just tap it and crack open that shell. And she wants to help the baby, but she can't. And here's the reason why. As that baby is struggling, it's all part of the process. They said the struggle is actually what prepares them to live the eagle life. So, the struggle you're dealing with, the delays, the disappointments, the setbacks, let it strengthen you so God can take you to the next level. If you're enjoying this podcast, please subscribe to this channel. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, so I can keep you motivated to achieve your dreams. Thank you for watching.